A single glance, a silent pause, and the clicking of high heels echoing through a glass hallway. The devil is back stronger, sharper, and with secrets even deadlier than fashion itself. This is the Devil Wears Prada 2 and the world of power, beauty, and betrayal has never looked this dangerous. Nearly 2 decades ago, The Devil Wears Prada gave us more than a movie, it gave us an icon. Miranda Priestly, the woman whose words could freeze an entire room, became the face of ruthless elegance. Andy Sachs, the outsider who walked into a world she never thought she belonged in, became the symbol of ambition versus morality. And Emily Charlton, sharp-tongued and fiercely loyal, showed us what sacrifice in the name of success can look like. Together, they didn't just create a film. They created a cultural moment. Now, in 2025, the story continues. The official trailer for The Devil Wears Prada 2 doesn't just tease a sequel, it promises a whole new chapter in the fashion world's most dangerous game. Fans across the globe have been waiting, speculating, and hoping for this exact moment. And now, the trailer confirms it. Miranda Priestly has returned, and so has the chaos that follows in her shadow. What makes this sequel so powerful isn't just nostalgia. It's the question of time. 17 years have passed since Andy handed over that final manuscript to Miranda and walked away from Runway magazine. 17 years of silence. And now, the trailer asks, where are they today? Has Andy built her own empire, or is she still haunted by the choices she made? Is Emily still chasing perfection in a world that never gives enough? And Miranda, has she grown even more untouchable, or is there finally someone bold enough to challenge her throne? The trailer wastes no time reminding us of the stakes. We see Paris glimmering under the weight of high fashion. New York, still the beating heart of ambition. Milan, where old money collides with new ideas. Every frame is a battle between tradition and disruption. The sound design alone, clipped footsteps, the snap of fabric, the closing of an office door tells us this isn't just about fashion anymore. It's about survival, but let's pause for a moment and think about why this sequel matters. The first film was more than just couture gowns and icy one-liners. It was about power, how it's gained, how it's lost, and how it shapes us. That's why people still quote Miranda's cerulean sweater speech to this day. It was never about the color of the fabric. It was about control, influence, and the invisible strings that pull us all. And now, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is stepping into a world where those strings are tighter, faster, and deadlier than ever. In this opening section of the trailer breakdown, what we see isn't just a return, it's a reminder. A reminder that fashion is war. A reminder that the people who control beauty also control culture. And most importantly, a reminder that Miranda Priestly still has the power to silence us all with a single word. That's all. The trailer opens with silence. Not the comforting kind, but the kind that makes you lean closer, waiting for something to break. And then it does a single sharp sound, the unmistakable click of Miranda Priestly's heels against marble floors. It's the first reminder that this sequel isn't playing safe. Within seconds, the trailer sets its tone, sharp, cold, and filled with tension. We cut to a shot of Paris at dawn, drenched in golden light. The camera glides past the Seine, through the historic avenues, before landing on the steps of a luxury fashion house. It's not Runway magazine this time. No, the world has changed, and the trailer wants us to see it. Fashion isn't just about magazines anymore, it's about streaming shows, billion-dollar influencers, and the race to define identity. In this updated battlefield, Miranda Priestly stands taller than ever. The trailer quickly reintroduces the faces we know. Andy Sachs, her hair darker, her eyes sharper. She's no longer the uncertain assistant fumbling with scarves and Starbucks orders. In one quick shot, we see her leading a press conference, flashing cameras surrounding her. The world she once ran from has pulled her back in. The trailer doesn't tell us why, but the expression on her face, half defiance, half exhaustion, tells us this return isn't by choice. Then Emily Charlton appears, and she's almost unrecognizable. Gone is the frazzled assistant begging for scraps of Miranda's approval. In her place is a woman in command, striding through Milan Fashion Week with a clipboard and a Bluetooth headset. She's not working for Miranda anymore, or so it seems. In one quick sequence, Emily and Miranda lock eyes across a crowded runway. No words are exchanged, but the silence speaks volumes. Loyalty has a price, and betrayal has an even higher one. The trailer doesn't shy away from new blood either. We see flashes of two new characters: one, a rising young designer with bold ideas that threaten to disrupt everything Miranda represents. The other, a tech-driven entrepreneur who wants to turn fashion into numbers, algorithms, and data. These aren't just supporting roles. They are the antagonists of a new era, challenging the very throne Miranda has defended for decades. And if the editing of the trailer is any clue, these fresh faces aren't afraid of the devil herself. Costume design plays its own role in the trailer. Where the original film was about polished elegance and timeless couture, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is about contrast. Andy wears darker tones, symbolizing her transformation from innocence to experience. Emily embraces sharp, structured lines, showing her rise in authority. Miranda, however, remains untouched. Her wardrobe screams permanence: pristine whites, power blacks, and fabrics so refined they almost seem untouchable. She hasn't adapted to the times because she doesn't need to. The times adapt to her, but the true magic of the trailer lies in its small details. A shot of Miranda sitting alone at a long boardroom table, her face illuminated only by the glow of her phone screen. A quick cut to Andy looking at a file labeled confidential, her hands trembling. A close-up of Emily ripping a name badge from her chest, her eyes filled with rage. And then, in the final seconds of the trailer, Miranda whispers the words, "Fashion is not about clothes. It's about power." The music swells, strings twisted into something sharp, metallic, almost dangerous. We see glimpses of runways collapsing under chaos, flashbulbs blinding designers, and Miranda walking through smoke as if she owns the world. The trailer doesn't reveal the plot, but it gives us everything we need to know. This is not just a sequel. This is a war story, dressed in couture, and here's the most important part. The trailer isn't just telling us that Miranda still holds the crown. It's warning us that someone is trying to take it. Whether it's Andy, Emily, or the new generation of rivals, the sequel's story seems to revolve around one burning question: when you play in the world of fashion, is there ever room for two devils? Asterisk, the trailer gives us the glamour, but behind the camera lies a story just as fascinating and maybe even more dramatic. The Devil Wears Prada 2 isn't simply a film. It's a production that wrestled with impossible expectations, fan pressure, and the challenge of updating a cultural phenomenon nearly 2 decades later. And the secrets of how it came together might surprise you. First, the locations. The sequel didn't lock itself into just New York as the first film largely did. Instead, the crew traveled across 3 fashion capitals: New York, Paris, and Milan. New York was used for boardroom battles and the cutthroat corporate world of publishing, while Paris staged its romantic but ruthless Fashion Week scenes. Milan, however, was chosen for its clash between old-world fashion houses and tech-driven startups, mirroring the movie's theme of tradition versus disruption. A rumor from production suggests that one of Milan's historic opera houses was closed off entirely for a week, just to shoot a pivotal confrontation between Miranda and her new rivals. The costumes are another story worth telling. In the first film, Patricia Field became a legend for dressing Meryl Streep, and Hathaway and Emily Blunt in styles that defined an era. For the sequel, designers faced a unique challenge. How do you honor the legacy of that fashion while still reflecting 2025? To solve it, they partnered with both established couture houses and rising young designers. Rumor has it more than 120 custom looks were created just for the main cast, and several came straight from real Fashion Week collections. Some even whispered that iconic luxury brands fought for placement in the film, knowing one scene could send sales skyrocketing. And then there are the cameos. The trailer hints at them, but production whispers confirm more. Real-world fashion figures are rumored to appear in blink-and-you'll-miss-it roles. From designers walking the runway to influencers seated front row, the line between fiction and reality blurs. It's no longer just a movie about fashion, it's a movie living inside the fashion industry itself, of course. No film of this scale comes without challenges. Shooting in Paris meant entire streets were shut down. drawing crowds of onlookers hoping to catch a glimpse of Meryl Streep or Anne Hathaway in costume. In Milan, the production was reportedly delayed when a storm damaged some of the outdoor sets. And in New York, security was so tight around one office scene that even crew members were required to sign confidentiality agreements before entering the set. The director's vision also shaped the film in bold ways. While David Frankel directed the original, the sequel brought in a fresh perspective. This director reportedly wanted the film to feel less like a comedy and more like a drama-thriller hybrid. Lighting is colder, pacing is sharper, and silence is used as often as dialogue to create tension. Even the way Miranda is filmed is different where once she stood framed in warm offices and glossy magazines. Now she looms in sharp angles, often shot from below, giving her an almost mythic presence. But perhaps the most intriguing behind-the-scenes detail lies in the script itself. Writers struggled for years to crack the story. Early drafts reportedly explored Andy as a mother balancing family and career, while others imagined Emily taking over runway. What finally stuck was the idea of generational conflict, an old guard represented by Miranda, and a new guard eager to take her down. It's a concept that feels both modern and timeless, and it gave the sequel the dramatic weight it needed. Even the cast had their hesitations. Meryl Streep was initially reluctant to reprise Miranda, worried about repeating herself. But after reading the script, she reportedly said it wasn't about repeating, it was about evolution. And Hathaway, too, was cautious, having often said she didn't think Andy's story needed more. Yet she returned after being convinced that this chapter wasn't about going backward, but about showing what happens when ambition never truly lets go. Emily Blunt, on the other hand, jumped in eagerly, reportedly saying she had unfinished business with her character behind the glossy trailer. Then lies a story of risk, reinvention, and obsession. The team knew that this wasn't just another sequel. It was a return to a story that fans have held on to for nearly 20 years. Every scene, every costume, every line of dialogue had to live up to that legacy. And judging from what we've seen in the trailer, they've not only lived up to it, they've built something that could stand on its own, because in the world of The Devil Wears Prada, it's never just about what happens in front of the camera. It's about the secrets whispered behind it, the choices, the risks. The whispers of, this might not work, that somehow turned into, this could be bigger than ever, asterisk. The moment the trailer for The Devil Wears Prada 2 dropped, the internet erupted. Within hours, hashtags trended worldwide, and clips of Miranda's chilling new line flooded TikTok and Instagram. Fans who grew up quoting the first film began dissecting every frame, while an entirely new generation too young to see the original in theaters jumped in, eager to claim this sequel as their own cultural moment. What we're seeing isn't just excitement. It's a wave of obsession, and it's already reshaping the conversation around movies in 2025. One of the loudest reaction centers around, Miranda herself. In the trailer, she looks untouchable, her presence as commanding as ever. The fans are asking, is she the villain again, or has time changed her role? Some point to a scene where she sits alone in that dark boardroom, suggesting that the sequel may show Miranda as a more isolated figure, powerful, yes, but lonelier than before. Others argue that it's a misdirect, that she's still pulling strings behind the scenes, letting her rivals believe she's vulnerable before crushing them in true Priestly fashion. Andy's return has sparked another round of debate. Social media threads are full of theories. Why is she back in Miranda's orbit? Some believe she's become a rival editor-in-chief, facing Miranda not as a subordinate but as an equal. Others think she's investigating something bigger, perhaps a scandal in the fashion world that only Miranda can help her expose. And then there are those who believe Andy and Miranda may even team up, an unlikely alliance against a new enemy who threatens them both. Emily's arc, too, has become a talking point. In the trailer, her transformation from frazzled assistant to commanding executive is clear. But fans wonder, is Emily out for revenge? The way she rips off that name badge in one shot has been looped endlessly online, with captions like Emily's finally had enough and the assistant becomes the boss. Some believe her storyline could be the most dramatic twist of all, a former underling rising high enough to challenge both Andy and Miranda. And then, of course, there are the newcomers. The young designer and the tech mogul teased in the trailer have fueled endless speculation. Could the designer represent a threat to Miranda's dominance in fashion, perhaps echoing real-world disruptors who push sustainability, inclusivity, and digital-first branding? And could the tech mogul symbolize the takeover of fashion by numbers algorithms deciding what's beautiful, replacing instinct with data? If so, the sequel isn't just about personal rivalries, it's about the very soul of the fashion industry. Theories aside, the fan reactions highlight something deeper, nostalgia colliding with reinvention. For those who loved the first film, this sequel is a chance to return to a world that shaped their idea of ambition, style, and power. For younger audiences, it's an introduction to that same world, but reimagined in a way that feels relevant to 2025. That dual pull past and future might be the very thing that makes The Devil Wears Prada 2 so potent. Cultural critics are already weighing in. Some argue the film could spark a bigger conversation about how women in power are portrayed in media. Others suggest it might shine a light on the darker side of fashion, its obsession with youth, speed, and perfection in a digital era. Whatever the case, the fact that a single trailer has already triggered think pieces, fan essays, and hours of YouTube breakdowns proves one thing: this sequel isn't just entertainment. It's an event. And that brings us to the closing thought. The trailer doesn't tell us everything. It doesn't give away the full plot, nor does it answer the burning question of who will rise and who will fall. But maybe that's the point. The devil doesn't reveal her secrets all at once. She makes you wait, watching, trembling, desperate for the next move. So here's the question the trailer leaves hanging: will Miranda Priestly remain the untouchable queen of fashion? Or is this finally the moment someone else takes her crown? Will Andy, Emily, or even the newcomers challenge her in ways no one ever dared before? Or will Miranda, with a single icy glance, remind the world why she will always be the devil who wears Prada? The answers will come when the film finally arrives. But until then, the speculation is part of the thrill. And as Miranda might say, that's all.